besties. Today is going to be my first little book talk review, like, officially. I'm so excited. So, I was telling my husband that I wanted to start actually, like, reviewing the books that I'm reading on TikTok, and also use here as, like, my little diary of my reviews and feelings on books, because I am decent at reading comprehension if I read the whole book in a row, and there's nothing that interrupts it. But then when I try to circle back to the book, I don't remember everything. And so this is like gonna be my little book diary, along with everything else that I always do on here, because I never stick to one thing. But I wanted to talk about, I read Twisted Love. I did. You guys made me want to read it. I rated this on Goodreads a 4-star, but in reality it was like a 4.7 star for me. There's a couple reasons why it didn't make it all the way to 5. So, personally, I rate books based off of enjoyment, and if, like, it was just generally, like, done well, right? So, if it had me kicking my feet, it automatically is, like, at least a 3-star. But if it was, like, done well, there wasn't, I can't handle cringe, like, at all. So, if there's anything cringy in it, for me anyway, it won't make it really past the 3-star. I am also asexual, but I'm more demi, but I am ace. So my tolerance for spice is a lot different than the average person, because if they use icky words for me, I don't enjoy it. But I can enjoy it depending on context. So that is where this rating comes from, is 4.7. The main reason that it didn't make it all the way to 5 is because the ending just felt rushed for me. I'm not going to give spoilers, but the ending felt rushed for me because most of the book followed the two main characters, like, day to day. Or at least, like, there was only, like, 1 week to maybe sometimes 1 month time jumps. But then the last couple chapters, it was, like, 6 months went by, 2 years went by, like, just jumps. And because I'm so attached to these characters, I want more. And I apologize for my phone going off, but I like the speed that I'm speaking. I don't want to start the video over. But I am very attached to them, and I just wanted more. And I feel like we could have just added a couple more chapters, and that wouldn't have rushed it for me. The other thing is the main character, Ava, her brother Josh. He's just like, there's a lot alluded to about him, and I don't think this is a spoiler personally, but like, she mentions at a point that he's really stressed out, or that you can see the stress on him, or he felt this, or he felt that. But then they don't, like, deep dive into him more, you know? And I wanted that from this book. I know this is a series, and I know that, like, it's, like, interconnected kind of, and, like, the next book is on 2 characters that they talked about at the end of this one. So, I don't know if he might come up later in anything, because I don't know much about the other books besides this one. So, but, like, my heart just wanted to know more about how he's doing. Because, like, a lot happened that also impacts him in this book. But we don't really get to find that out. Like, it's giving the oldest sibling that has to just handle everything. And I want to know. So, but I did have a good time. There was moments of kicking my feet. There was also a moment where I was calling my husband really upset. I will say, though, this didn't impact my review of the book. I went into the book, like, with my review is of the book. However, Booktok, we need to talk. I'm coming in hot already. Y'all made this book sound like it was going to be way more spicy than it is. Because, God, I can't hold on to anything today. I apologize. Stuff doesn't happen in that regard until halfway in. Which is fine. And I think it was placed, like, the timing was good, and, you know, like, that was fine. Like, it flowed with the story. It wasn't, like, it made sense. Like, every time that things in that way happened made sense. But y'all made it sound like it was gonna be fresh out the gate happening, and it didn't. And then it didn't happen as often as y'all made it sound like it was going to either, which was still fine, because it all fit, and, like, you know, I liked it. I did enjoy it. What doesn't help at all is this. Here's oversharing. The main character's name is Alex. My husband's name is Alex. So that didn't help anything. But, I mean, it did. It made me more interested. where I could get into this book a little bit more as an asexual person. But, but anywho, I did genuinely enjoy the book. I am going to continue with the series. And I liked just how she wrote in general, and I liked her word choice because, again, I am, for a person that, like, I don't like spice in movies. That's where my asexualness is very there. I do not enjoy visually seeing it. It's not for me. It's not for me. Intimacy for me is, like, my partner only, for that sort of attraction. But I don't even, like, properly have celebrity crushes. Like, so I find I have aesthetic attraction. I do feel that. So, like, I always say my celebrity crush is Kesha. But that I'm not, like, in the bedroom attracted to her. You know what I mean? That's where like my asexual spectrum presents itself. So, however, I do get into writing for, like, scenes like that because I'm not looking at a person that's not the person I'm attracted to. So I can make the picture for myself. You know what I mean? So, but word choice matters a lot for me. And the way that she wrote is what I enjoy. So I had a good time with this book. I really did. I loved their just love story in general. There were some parts though where I was just like screaming at the book, like, are you fucking kidding? Like, why? Like especially with Alex, where it's just like, dude, you've had so many opportunities to grow as a character early on, and you're just stubborn. And, like, that was, like, anger that I was having. But I think that's what made me interested in the book and want to keep reading. I had this book sitting at 20%. I started this book last year when I got my Kindle, but I'm a mood reader, so I'm in the middle of 5 books total. Well, now 4, because I finished this book. But I read based off of what I'm feeling, so if I'm not in a mood for a book like this, I won't pick it up. And I got books from the library and then got really behind and needed to get them back to the library, and it took me the whole time and renewing the book 3 times to finish the book that I was reading, and I loved that book. But that's where I am. That's how I read. So I picked it back up here because I don't have my books with me here. So I have 2 books that I just brought with. Otherwise, it's Kindle only right now until I get my stuff moved back to this house. So I was like, okay, let's pick up the books that I'm in the middle of right now. After 20%, 2 nights is when I finished this book. And most of it was over the second night because I'm having really bad insomnia right now. And so I was like, well, I'm not tired. Picked it up and then just finished it. But I wouldn't say it put me into a reading slump because that doesn't, I've been in reading slumps, so it's not to that severity, but I'm very attached to these characters, so I need to let it, like, sit for a minute before I dive into book 2, because I know it's not them anymore, and I have to just be like, okay, this chapter closed, now we can move over. So I'm probably going to hop around some other books that I'm in the middle of. I'm in the middle of Midnight Library, which so far, it's like a 3.5-star read for me. We'll see if it gets better in the second half. I'm literally dead center on that book. And I'm also reading The Ghostwriter on my Kindle right now. I want to finish it. Nothing's making me want to, like, really come back to it. I just kind of want to see what happens. But I'm not really attached to that book either. But once I get those done, and then I'm in the middle of Loveless, which is following an asexual character. It's why I picked it up for myself, because I'm still learning about my own asexuality. I'm in the middle of that book, but that book I have the physical book, and that's still in Illinois, so that one I can't continue for a little bit. Oh, maybe I'm in the middle of 4 books then. Yeah, I'm in the middle of 4 books. Well, including this one. So, but yeah, this was a 4.7 star for me. I don't know if that's really specific, but that's because it was so close to being a 5-star, but just like a little short. So I had to rate it as 4. Rate it as 4. I read it. I rated it as 4. Okay, bye. Love you. Hi, besties. Today we are doing another book review. We're not going to talk about my nose strip. We are an allergy girly in this house. But we are going to be reviewing The Midnight Library. I have so many feelings about this book. Also, just warning, will have very slight spoilers, but I'm not going to give, like, specific details, if that makes sense, but, like, concepts from within the book I will bring up. I also think I might do a longer form video on this book as well on YouTube eventually, because again, a lot of feelings. So I'm rating it 3 stars. but it did have to kind of like fight to get to 3 stars, if I'm being totally honest. Like 1 star is for just the concept of the book. In general, it's about a girl that really was not feeling life anymore at all, if you know what I mean. And she tried to end it all, and then gets brought to the Midnight Library, where she had to, basically she gets to try all different lives that she could have had, and then given the option to then stay in the one that made sense for her, right? And that's like the whole concept. So 1 star is just for that concept. I thought it was cool. And that's what got me to pick it up and got me excited to read it, and I had heard good things. The 2nd star is because I liked the beginning. I liked how it really just brought us into her life and into her turmoil. You really could feel how she was feeling. And then the 3rd star is because I liked the end. I wasn't expecting this to be the end, but then when I got to the last couple chapters, I just kind of like had like a gut feeling of, okay, this is probably the way he's gonna take this. And then he did, so it was a little predictable for me, but I still liked how he did it. So that's why it's 3 stars for me. However, the reason I'm flipping through is, like, I would say about this much of the book is incredibly repetitive for me. And I got really frustrated with that. But it also was like, it's one of those, like, I don't know how else he would have done it, though. I didn't totally enjoy his writing style. Like, I don't think I would pick up another book by him solely because I am so picky with that. I am either, like, my favorite is first person, could not think of that phrase for some reason. First person, but, like, jumping around perspectives, where, like, if there's multiple characters, then, like, a chapter for each character, you know? I eat that shit up. Otherwise, just a first-person book. And, like, I don't know, in a weird way, like, the book's in third person, but then there's, like, random points that it's not. And then there's, like she's does a lot of, like, poetry, songwriting, whatever. And there's a lot, where she will literally, like, explain the song or her post or whatever it was, and, like, parts of that post will be in conversation, but then the next chapter will be that post where you can just, like, literally, it's written differently. You can sit and read it. Oh my god, the filter. I didn't like that, which is weird because sometimes I do like that, but I think because he literally would, like, explain it and then it'd be there, I didn't enjoy that. I don't know, just something about the writing style just didn't put me in the story. I don't know. So that was why I docked it a star, and then the 2nd star that I docked it is just because it was so repetitive in the middle. Like, because so she's trying out all these different lives, right? Like, that's, like, the whole point of the book. You know she didn't pick that one because of how far into the book you are. So it made it hard to get into each little story, besides, like, just, like, learning different things about her a little bit. But it made it hard to get, like, invested into that when you knew she was going to leave. Because of, you, like, I would be only, you know, like, this far into the book. And then it's like, okay, well, I know she's not going to pick this one because I have the rest of the book. And she doesn't actually pick until, like, here. So, I don't know. It didn't mesh with me as well as I was hoping it would. Oops, I totally thought I muted my phone. Keep doing this! I don't know, so, and I'm not gonna lie, I put so much weight on this book. Because, so, the reason that I picked this book up in the first place is I saw it at a small business local bookstore in Woodstock, Illinois, on a date with my now husband. But this is when we were dating. And, I had my promise ring in that set. So, we were there, I saw this cover, and I was just, like, immediately intrigued. I read the little synopsis, but at the end of the day, hardcover books are expensive, and we were on a budget, so I ended up not picking this up. And that was not when I was in my phase of I take pictures of books that sound cool, and now I also will put them into Goodreads if I have more time in the store. Like, if I'm with my husband, I'll actually sit and scan books, but otherwise I just take a snap picture and, you know, continue on. I couldn't remember what it was called, and anytime I tried to, like, look up details about this cover, I couldn't find it. And then, for my birthday, for my 20th birthday, we went to Raleigh and went to Quail Ridge Books. I think that's what it was called. I want to say that's what it's called. It's a 2-story bookstore in Raleigh. If you've been to Raleigh, you probably know what store I'm talking about. It's the only one like it. It's gigantic and it's so cool. And I found this in there. So this concept of book had been in my head, running my life for like over a year, because I saw it with my now husband, but I saw it with him before we got married, and then we had been married for a year, or almost a year, when we went for that birthday trip. So when I found it, I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be the book of my life. Like, I'm so excited. And then I started seeing it on Booktok of people being, you know, like, loving it and eating it up. But I also saw a lot of people that didn't like it. But, you know, I had my rose-colored glasses on. So, I think I put too much pressure on this book. I think if you didn't put that much pressure on it, this would probably be closer to a 4-star read for you. But I love books that they don't have to be fast-paced, but they need to, like, rope me in, and I want to be sitting there like, oh my god, I need to finish this chapter because I want to know what happens next, you know, and I'm flipping through. This book just didn't do that for me. So, I was capable of putting this book down, and I actually had started, like, 3 other books at the same time, and then would circle back to it, and then finally finish it this week when I started it back in June. So, I don't know. Like, I feel like I like, there were good lessons in here. The other thing that just irritated me is, like, her character. I understand depression. I really do. And, like, that's the whole, like, there's so many trigger warnings on this book, by the way. If you go to read this, please look up the trigger warnings, for mental health related concepts. But, like, she would go through it, and, like, it was very repetitive in the structure of each chapter. She would do the life, and then she would reflect, and then do the next life and reflect. However, she would reflect, make it sound like she really, like, grasped a lesson. And it's like, cool, we're gonna start making some level of progress. I understand that, like, you know, progress is not linear. I understand that. And, you know, working with mental health, which I think is what made this book really accurate. However, there was no growth until the end, for me anyway. Or, like, she would make it seem like she was growing, and then the second she would go back to the library, it was like everything she reflected on while she was still in that life, it's like it didn't happen. And then she'd go back to, honestly, how she was feeling at the beginning of the book. So it was just like, up, down, up, down, up, down. But not up and down in, like, a way that normally, like, working through your mental health goes, where there's, like, a trigger for the spiral. I don't know, that didn't always happen. I don't know. It just was a lot of repetition. Like, I feel like the book just didn't need to be this long, you know? Like, I feel like it could have probably been, like, this long, and been a lot more effective. Because once you got into the middle, it was just like, okay, like, I would like to jump to about here, please. Like, I don't know. So, but it's still 3 stars for the reasons that I said. But I would love to do an actual YouTube video, though, where I deep dive into this book of, like, full spoilers of exactly what happens in the book and how I felt about it, like, out loud annotations almost. So let me know if you would want that version. But, yeah, I don't know. It was 3 stars for me, but, like, honestly closer to, like, 2.5. But I think I just went into this book with such, like, holding it at such a high standard. So, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people would genuinely still enjoy this book. So, like, if I were to recommend it, it'd be, like, a maybe. With, like, the yes, no, maybe trend. This would be a maybe for me. Anyway, big feelings, I know.